Hiya, how are you doing? I must admit, over the last few nights I've woken up thinking about things I wanted to say to you. The title of today's Thoughts on Tuesday is how the good, the bad and the not so perfect can actually be great, and it's my lessons from coronavirus. So today was actually inspired by batch cooking. Actually, I was filling my freezer full of chili and I looked down at this pepper and I noticed it wasn't perfect. And you know what my immediate thought was? Yay, good on you, Ocado. That's great that actually you're letting less than perfect food be fed to people rather than it going to waste. So the first point is that not everything in life has to be perfect, because we're in a time, aren't we, where we're push for quality standards, getting more, getting faster, everything bigger, better. And actually, I think one of the things it's teaching me is that, you know, I'd already been working on not being perfect, but actually I was watching a webinar the other night, and this guy, it was a really great example which hits on my next point, which is about businesses being really agile. And he'd literally produced this course content over a few days, and he got his course online, live, and he was there presenting, and there were a few typos, and he said, oh, sorry about that. And I thought, do you know what? You're delivering free content. The poor bloke was delivering it from his gym somewhere because the internet had failed. But I thought, yeah, actually, you know, and we've been hearing stories about people using Microsoft Teams with the kids in the background. I think we've put far too much pressure on ourselves sometimes. Now, there are some businesses that are thriving, aren't they, through this coronavirus? And I had a really bad moment probably about 2 weeks ago. I'd had 3 appointments cancelled in one day, and my husband came home and I was sat on the sofa and I burst into tears. I'd had a day of homeschooling, which is lovely, and it can be challenging. I've been used to working on my own for the last 14 years in silence, and I think also I put a lot of pressure on myself to be okay for everybody, you know, especially in the industry that I'm in. He said, what's up? And I said, I just feel like my business is dying. And I'd done a Facebook Live and just thought that was all a bit rubbish. And it's really unlike me, because I was a bit like, what's the point? I allowed myself to have a bit of a cry, I dusted myself off, and then I moved on. And then ever since then, I feel like I've had a rocket up my bum. But businesses have had to be really agile, haven't they? And I've been so impressed by some of the examples out there. Simon Rogan, we like going to his restaurants, and I've noticed he's obviously had to shut them all down, but they're doing like home deliveries of food and vegetables from his garden and all that type of thing. It's just so impressive how many businesses are pivoting and refocusing. I know I too have had to change what I'm doing. I'm doing things that either I've not been brave enough to do, or that I'd planned to do probably in about 6 months' time. I've got the time now to be able to do it. So yeah, so I was saying I was making this chili earlier, and I realised with no tin tomatoes. Number 3, what Corona has taught us is this, to learn to develop patience. And I think we've been very much in an instant gratification society. You know, if we want something, we press click, don't we, and it's delivered. Or for us, it's like 4 minutes down the road to Tesco's or M&S. And so tonight we're having chili without tomatoes. Don't know what it'll be like. The other thing, there's quite a few food-centric points here. The 4th thing that it's taught me is, I thought I was already quite a grateful person, but my gratitude has gone up a level. And, you know, if I said a few weeks ago, I was staying up till midnight to book my Tesco click and collect, because that's the only time I could get a slot. How much do we take the small things for granted? So being able to book an Ocado slot and get it delivered on Saturday night, I could have kissed the Ocado man if it wasn't for social distancing. Next thing, I think it's teaching us moderation as well. We got down to our last Kit Kat. we all kind of stood around looking at the tin longingly, like, oh my God, we are not going to have any chocolate in the house for like a week. So do you know what I did? I cleared out my fridge. I made a real cobbled dish together, but we ended up with 5 meals. It was a lot of veg that probably in the past I would have binned, because there was quite a lot of rotting stuff, or close, very, very ripe, let's just say. It's teaching, I think it'll teach us moderation. That's got to be a good thing, not wasting lots of food. Next point, I think it's teaching us appreciation for, oh my goodness me, these angels, real live heroes on the front line, cannot express gratitude enough for everything that they're doing. And an Amazon delivery guy came to the door the other day, and I'll be honest, he made me jump, because I thought they were delivering on the step, and he knocked on the door, opened the door, and he got his full gear on, a big suit, gloves, mask, and I really just felt for them. You know, people that are still going out to work, include my husband in that, because he produces kidney dialysis fluid. And, you know, these people are going out and they're putting their lives at risk. So I think the underappreciated are really being appreciated, I hope, is a lesson that stays with us. The next lesson, I feel as though I've had such a flipping privileged lifestyle over certainly the last 20 years anyway. And when I think about our children growing up and what a cosseted life they've had. Last year we had 5 holidays. I mean, that's ridiculous, isn't it, when I think about it now? We've got a boat that we can escape to, or could escape to, whenever we wanted. You know, what a life. And if you want something, you get it. And I was worried about my in-laws, they're in their 80s. When my husband got off the phone to them, I said, how are they doing? Are they worried? And he said, do you know what? He said, they're taking it all in the stride. And when I thought about it, I thought, yeah, it makes sense. You know, sometimes this country, we can't cope, can we, even when it snows a little bit? But my father-in-law, he was an evacuee, and he was sent away from home, I think, for something like 9 years in the end. Imagine having to deal with not having your children at home, and we're whinging and moaning about the fact that we've got to do homeschooling. We're just so lucky, aren't we? And it was interesting today, food related again. And my daughter was chopping up some cucumber, and I said, oh, I think you might need to put half of that back, because we've got to think about Daddy's sandwiches. And she tapped me, gone out, and I thought, yeah, this is going to be a life lesson. And as I think about people that had to deal with food rationing in the war, I mean, that would just blow our kids' minds, wouldn't it, today? Because they're that used to everything being in abundance. And the interesting thing I've discovered over the years is those people that really lead a full life, do well, are successful, they have some knocks back in their childhood. So they have some difficulties, some adversity, and they reckon that if we want our kids to be resilient, they do need a few knocks so that they can cope later on in life. And I smile as I say all of that, because I'm just talking about cucumber. I do think this is going to be a good lesson for some of our children. Last thing that it's taught me is that I've realised I'm more in the now. And the way my brain works, I'm normally about 5 years down the line, thinking about plans for what will be happening in 5 years' time. And it's a fundamental part of my business. It's what I do for a living, but I also apply it to my own life. And the challenge with that is that you have to forcibly keep bringing yourself back to now, and that can be a bit of a challenge. And one of the things that I've realised that with Corona, what I'm doing is I've kind of got the blinkers on a little bit. I'm not thinking about how long it'll go on for. What I'm doing is I'm just taking each day as it comes, and it's really freeing doing that. The last time I remember doing this was at school, because otherwise I can remember thinking, oh my God, this feels like a life sentence. You know, I've just started, they would call it year 7 these days. You know, I've got all these years ahead of me of this mundanity. I hated school. And instead, I just took each day as it came. And that's one of the things that Corona has helped me to do again. Anyway, I genuinely hope you're all right. And, you know, get in touch, say hi. I'd love to hear from you, and see you again sometime. All right, bye.